Welcome to our show today, everyone. If you're listening on YouTube or on other social media platforms, remember to follow, like, and subscribe so you won't miss a new episode. Please say something. You could say, for example, where you're from. I would love to know that. This gets the algorithm going so others can join in.
And now, Men Loving Well, with Christian counselor, author, and relationship coach, Dr. Jim Slaughter.
Cash and Cash Denief have been friends of ours for quite a while now, and who would be on to represent what this show means? Men loving well. And Zan and Geoff, Cash came to mind. Contacted Cash and said, "Would you be interested in doing this?" He said yes. But the main reason is for me having him on today was it is my thinking, my conviction that he, as much as anyone I know, represents the spirit and intent and the carrying out of a man who loves his wife really well. And we won't be able to go into all the details and background of that because we don't have the time. But Cash, I'm going to have you start out by talking a little bit about, first of all, let me just say, you have your own business. Zan has her own business, but you have, by invitation and even more than that, become a part of her in helping with that business, which is the Old Liberty Schoolhouse Bed and Breakfast here in Azle, Texas. And so anyone who's interested, if you don't get over to the bed and breakfast here, contact them. You're really missing out. I'll just say that. But Cash, you have really, we have watched you through the years. We've watched you, what you've done, how you've given yourself to your wife and to the ministry that she has in that bed and breakfast, and all the things that you do and all you are for her. And so I'm just going to turn it over to you for a minute, and maybe starting by talking about maybe your commitment to her. I mean, it takes deep commitment to be a part of a woman's life the way you're a part of Zan's life. Commitment, just as a biblical husband. Maybe talk a little bit about that, and maybe even how the Lord has motivated you and moved you, and where the Lord is in your relationship, and then your part in her business, her life. And it's hard to know how to put that because you guys are so much of a team. I can't talk about you without talking about her, and vice versa, or without talking about you, because you go together. So anyway, welcome,
Thank
Cash.
You. Very nice to be here.
My pleasure to have you. And so, talk a little bit about you and Zan, and you have a very deep commitment. You have fervor about your relationship with her. There's energy with you guys, and we feel it when we're around you. So, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Again, thank you for having me. I'm honored. My wife Zan is a very special lady, and I knew that through our friendship.
Mm-hmm.
We had a long courtship, if you will. We didn't rush things. We just enjoyed each other as friends, and that progressed. Well, when it led to us being married, in our own friendships, we were already laying down ourselves, so to speak, to what the other may want to do, their dreams, their aspirations, encouraging them, building them up. Iron sharpening iron. In our marriage, as husband, I want to make sure there's no doubt that I love and cherish her. As you mentioned, I trade lumber, so I have a full-time job away from the home.
Yep.
Zan had a dream to turn the place into a bed and breakfast, and I encourage it because the more she grows, the more I grow, and the more our relationship grows.
What a great concept. Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
Great.
So
thank you.
The time away from her, in my office, surrounded by a group of other people who are great people, but our time alone in our private life is limited because of the professional life.
Yeah.
So I want to make the most of those times together. Waking up in the morning, doing breakfast for the guests, seeing the guests, that is something I enjoy.
That's great. That is so great. That is great. When I was sending you some just things to think about, in preparation for the program today. And one of those things was about owning the mission.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's a common term in the military and business and almost everywhere. If I'm going to be a good participant, a good contributor, I'm going to have to own the mission of whatever it is that I'm a part of, right? And that is something that I have seen you do. I've seen you own Zan's mission.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen you own the mission of that bed and breakfast. You participate. In fact, just like you said, you love doing that. You have owned the mission with your attitude, with your spirit, with your behavior, with everything. I've seen you. I am doing masonry work and remodeling. Would you talk a little bit about that part of putting yourself into that bed and breakfast in Zan's life?
Yeah, there's always, of course, the place is 100 years old.
Yeah,
but there's always stuff that husbands are to do, upkeep, to try and do what we can to ease the burden. It's easier, both are doing it. Now, in great fairness, we did some remodeling and did stuff. That part was my wife's vision. I mean, she saw what she wanted to do with it, and she just went right in after it. And what was cool to be a part of that process was actually being able to pick up any of the other slack of stuff going on. You know, you're dealing with contractors, and then when something like that's going on, you have other things going on in life, you know, that need addressed. And so we just, as a partnership, truly believe that we just both kind of just take off and do what we need to do together. We're doing it together. We're pursuing it together. And when she has a vision of doing, you know, the remodel that we did on a suite, it turned out great. I wasn't excluded from any of that. She liked my input on everything, and it really kind of morphed into including her daughters with ideas of what may look good in the suite, and little touches that would kind of tap into the personality of those girls. One of them is a port captain, so they saw a map that went on the wall of shipping routes.
Yeah, we saw a picture of it. You texted a picture or something of that. I thought, that is awesome.
Right. So now they have an ownership kind of thing, because they look into this and like they still feel like it's a part of their home.
Yeah.
They see parts of their personalities added into each, you know, little touch. And that's been beautiful to be
absolutely. And one of the things I wanted to mention too, and we talked about this earlier, didn't put it this way, but my conviction is that loving Zan means loving Zan's children.
Sure.
And and that's very much a part of who you are and who they are. And you have you came into a family, and that's been wonderful for you. And you've talked about it many, many times. And so this is just an example of that, you know, of their inclusion and participating with you guys in what you do in the bed and breakfast there and everything. But we've been impressed with the way you have embraced her kids, her children, you know, and how important that must be to her. You know, if you had not done that, been able to do that, had cared about that, that would not have been a good thing. It wouldn't have worked real well with you guys.
I think blended families, that's the success and failure, is how, you know, we have all seen, you know, statistical data. When there's that major conflict between kids and grandkids, and now there's a new person brought into the dynamic, a new group of people brought into that dynamic. They're all adults, our children are all grown, but they also valued and wanted to participate in something that was honoring their mom. So, you know, when that relationship is maybe challenged in some way, it's because they're defensive, they're protective, they're wanting to make sure their mom or their parent is going to be looked after and loved after. And it's really been a natural flow. We haven't had any resistance from her kids and grandkids. They love me. They've welcomed me. They do birthdays. They live an hour or more away, and yet they travel to bring their kids to us to spend time together. We had a birthday for their mom, and just a wonderful time. We decided, I'm going to get a place at Padre Island, and I told the kids and their kids, you just get there when you get there, and everybody kind of do their own thing. And we had a wonderful, stress-free, no drama.
Does that ever happen? I can't even imagine that.
Yeah.
Wow. Good for you guys.
And it can happen. That's I think the more that you just kind of put yourself things aside and just let things happen instead of force them to happen, it truly can and does happen. And then also the other thing is being equally yoked spiritually. So her daughters are believers. That makes it much easier. We can talk, we can encourage, we can share scripture.
Right.
When you have people in your inner circles that may not be believers, there's that automatic resistance, which can cause friction. But yes, I'm not a lone case. It can definitely happen. You just gotta let the Lord take over in it and move forward in it.
Good thing to say there at the end. Let the Lord take over. Let me a couple of things I wanted to comment on that you said. And first of all, let me just say we're in a position because of what we do with our counseling and coaching practice to see a lot of men be very unsuccessful with this. Yeah. They just don't do it very well. And so whether that's, I don't know, whether it's ego or arrogance or lack of understanding or lack of heart or something, I don't know. Sure. It's different things, right? But you are a man who, and I'm not saying you don't make mistakes. I'm sure you do, but all that just to say, show. We'll do that next time, right? So the thing is, though, that you have been so consistent. We have seen this, okay? We've watched you, we've been with you, we enjoy being with you. There's nobody really outside of maybe our own family members that we'd rather be with more than you guys. And the problem is the schedules, not just your schedule, our schedule, it just doesn't often mesh up, but when it does, we try to get together. But we have watched you do this, be very consistent as a lover of your wife. Ephesians 5, probably the main loving passage, Christ says we're to love our wives the way Christ loved the church. And that whole passage goes, basically, the theme of it is sacrifice. Right. Okay. It's not top-down leadership. Christ had no sense of that in this passage. It was all sacrifice. He gave himself up for her. That is the church. And we're to do that for our wives. And because we watched that happen with you and with Zan consistently through the years, But I was going to ask you, and you kind of alluded to it at the end there, but how does this happen? How can a man who is a sinner saved by grace, basically the way Christians are, right? And trusting him and all that, but how does someone like that, how can you be consistent?
So it's part of taking up your cross daily.
Ooh,
right?
Okay.
Something that guys, and everybody, if you're a believer, there are things that you're growing, you're working. I struggle at times. I could be very selfish. I mean, believe it or not, I can
really?
Be. I'm a guy.
What can I say?
But in that instance, if you sit back and think for just a second, what is to gain from me? Yeah, I'd really like to go golfing, shooting, whatever, right?
Right.
But she, the time that you have is so limited already. Yeah. Spending this time with her is more edifying to me than going off with people I may see through the week already and spend a lot of time with.
Yeah.
And what's more valuable to me is making sure that our commitment, our commitment together to Christ is solid, because I've been down the road of brokenness.
Wow.
Yeah. And I truly believe that those were growth times where maybe I didn't do what I could have.
Okay.
We all learn from our mistakes.
Yep.
The Lord grows us through those mistakes. I firmly believe, without a doubt, that Zan has my rib. She was created for me. It took us a long time to get there.
I've never heard anyone say that, but I think that's such a great thing to say. She has my rib. That's great. I love it. So, yeah.
So to protect it, I believe that you have to guard that commitment. There is so many things to distract us and so many ways to distract us. And daily that my focus, I strive to focus on Christ first. And what he tells me is, yes, to lay down myself, to submit to him, of course, but also, the things that I may really want to do at that moment, when I really look at it and think, wow, I just want to get out of here and go play guitar or do something. Right. And I look at it, it's like, well, the reason I'm wanting to do that is kind of selfish, when really, she has X, Y, and Z going on that could really use my help or be a part of. And I find those other moments so much more rewarding.
They really are, aren't they?
Yeah.
And let me just say to those of you who are watching today or listening in, this guy is a fabulous musician. Okay, he plays the guitar like he should be doing that for a living, perhaps, rather than the lumber business. But I just wanted to get that in because one of the first times that we saw you, of course, was when you were playing the guitar in a band, and leading worship in a church service and everything. And we got to know you a little bit doing that, but then we got to know you in other ways as well. I resonate with you so much, though, when you talk about the fact that you would rather be with your wife, connecting with her and doing things with her, and how much more satisfying and gratifying that is than being with your buddy shooting on the range or something, right? And I remember telling Ann, my wife, a long time ago, when we got together, I remember saying, you know what, I want us to spend as much time together as we can, because life is too short.
It is.
It is too short to be doing stuff that we don't need to be doing. And so I've always really wanted to invest as much of my time into her as I possibly could. And we're fortunate because we, like you guys, we have, I call it a business. It really is a ministry in our counseling and coaching practice.
Yeah.
And we do that together. And she has inspired me and encouraged me and helped my direction outside of the Lord more than any single person when it comes to my ministry as it is now. And I'm so grateful to her. And so there really is no one I'd rather spend my time with than her, whether we're hiking on a trail out by the lake, or whether we're working in the yard, or whether we're counseling and coaching people. Sometimes we see couples together. And it is the most interesting dynamic that God puts together when we're together helping a couple. And it really is neat. And I know that you must feel that too with Zan,
I do. And just kind of the back up a second about the plan.
Yeah.
She has more than encouraged me to go do that. And that, so when you do that for your wife, what you find out is that your wife is encouraging you to do the things that you love too. And that would have probably been overlooked in other times because we're so selfishly focused on what we want to do at the time that you miss the fact that they want you to do it just as much.
Yes.
But give them a little of that time too to build them in what they want to do, like to do as well. And then that relationship just grows into a thing where you're just encouraging each other to tap into every gift that the Lord's given you.
Absolutely.
To get after it together and enjoy it.
Do you feel like Zan sometimes sees things in you or sees gifts in you that you don't even know you have yourself?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. We should do a program called Women Loving Well or Wives Loving Well sometime,
Well, she makes it easy to love her. Again, just the most precious jewel to me in my life is having her as my partner.
Absolutely. I believe it. You show it, because we tried to work it out where you could be a part of the Saturday morning group of men that I have over at the house,
Correct.
And we meet every Saturday morning around 9:30, and 6 or 8 guys usually getting together, just talking and sharing and praying together and lifting each other up, holding each other up, And you came a couple of times when you probably had other things you needed to be doing, and I appreciated that. But because of the schedule and the things we're talking about today, you have not been able to be a part of that group. I hardly ever get with these guys, but somewhere come to my mind, but wishing you were here. But the thing is, I was going to say, Ann has encouraged me in that. There was, not to go on about this, but there was a time when she said, who are your friends? And most of the friends that I had were in past.
Yeah.
And so she encouraged me to begin having some men get together and begin to get to know each other. And she has inspired me and encouraged me and helped me find direction through the Lord. She's my greatest she's my spiritual helper, right? Which is what the word uses, that term, a helper corresponding to me, And so that's the way it is with you and Zan. And so we really a kind of deep connection with you guys because we see things the same way, and we've had some of the same experiences together when it comes to being a couple. I know our time is limited because you guys are going to have to get out of here pretty quick. Let me just ask you, is there anything as we've talked that you would like to add? Anything's come to mind as people are out there really wanting to hear what it's like, what it means to love our wives well, which is really the point really of this program. Investment into a wife's life and soul, really. It's not just what she's doing, it's who she is at the most fundamental level, two souls coming together. And so I think that has come out today as you've shared. It's really a great thing. How would you want to close the time today, would you say?
Well, so I don't do everything right. I mean, that's a given. We have had from day one, in fact, times where I get very uncomfortable where she's wanting to address something. Whereas in the past, what I would do is I would tuck it way back somewhere, right? And it'll go away, it'll whatever. But what I really like and have grown to appreciate in my wife is the fact that she won't let it die if it needs resolving, we need to resolve it. And so dealing with that,
kind of painful, isn't it? It really is a great thing. I know.
It can be. But what's so great about that is because it is done and done.
Yeah.
It's never brought up again. It's not something that festers into a bitter seed of, resentment or anything like that. Or there's no veil of secrecy or any. I don't have to feel like I'm protecting something that is mine because it's hers too.
Wow.
She shares that with me, and I share that with her. And that is what's unique about our marriage that I've never known in any relationship before, is that pure transparency. And that was a natural thing. So I don't know how to describe it. It's not like we methodically thought we had to do that. It just happened. It just, I wasn't going to be able to run and hide it or anything.
Right.
So that's what strengthens us.
I'm so reminded when you say that, and I can't remember which of the Brontes wrote it, but I think it was Emily Bronte said something like about her lover. I don't know what souls are made of, but yours and mine are the same. And I'm thinking, I think that almost has to happen for the kinds of things we've been talking about today to be true or to come true or whatever, it has to be like that. And so I think it's such a gift of God to find a woman whose soul is the same as yours.
Amen.
And I believe that about Ann and me. And she's really helped me step up into the light a lot. And that I'm grateful for. Just for everyone's information, today we've had Cash Denief, his wife Zan is right over there on the couch, and sometime we need to have everybody on and have 4 of us or something. But Ann and I got to spend a night in your bed and breakfast, and we felt so special with that. And you guys, you just really treated us so well, so beautifully, which is what you do with everyone who comes. People come from all over the world to stay with you guys.
It's definitely been a unique ministry because we're able to meet people from all different kinds of cultures, geographically around the world. And why are you coming to Azle, Texas? You're from Tanzania, for all places, right? Or the Netherlands or whatever.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that's been a really neat experience.
Absolutely. You should read their guest register. I mean, it's really just filled with such compliments. I mean, you think, wow, this is so cool. And everybody is treated so specially by you guys. And Zan is she's an incredible cook.
Very amazing.
And you are very creative in the things that you can do, the things that you're gifted in. And you guys make such a good team. If someone wanted to stay with you for a day or a weekend or a week or something, how would they do that? How would they get to you?
Well, we have a website, and they can check out the suites. They can see the breakfast. That's theoldlibertyschoolhouse.com. Of course, we're on all the booking channels and all that as well.
Right. Theoldlibertyschoolhouse.com.
Yeah.
And it literally is an old schoolhouse here in Azle.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the remnants of that schoolhouse are still there. In fact, most of it, I think, is still there. You guys have done some remodeling and everything, but I love that particular feature, that it is about 100 years old or something.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
The main structure is 100 years old. We live in that part of the structure, but all the suites are really private, secluded to themselves. Breakfast is brought to your suite privately.
And we're talking, this is not just bacon and eggs.
Okay? No.
We're talking about, this is breakfast to die for, right?
If I could share one quick thing, when we talk about, how long does the Lord have us to do this? Because some things you may get burnt out on them. I said, if you're ready to just give an individual box of cereal and a thing of milk in the tray and leave it at the door, then you're done. My wife does not do that.
No, she would not. I think she would.
Beautiful
not
gourmet, the presentations.
It is definitely, it is gourmet. And so I want to encourage everyone to give a look to the website and to get to know Cash and Zan. I mean, they are awesome, and they will want, like you said, to treat you like royalty. So, I mean, you guys may be booked up for 6 months or something. I don't know, but it's worth a try. Believe me, it's worth a try. Cash, let me just say thanks for coming on today. I know your time is limited. You got to go back and deal with all kinds of technicians who are coming to fix your air conditioning.
We've had life goes on and things happen.
That's right, for sure. I know that hopefully it's been fun.
It's been great.
So good to be with you guys today.
We feel the same.
So
thank you so much.
We love being your friends, and we love having the time today. So
absolutely.
Thanks a lot. All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. See you next week.
Thank you again for joining us. Men Loving Well airs live every Friday at 10:30 a.m. Central Time on graceandtruthradio.world. If you would like to contact or coach with Dr. Jim Slaughter, or find out about any of his events, or order his books, go to his website, drjimslaughter.com, or visit menlovingwell.com, the radio show website. Thank you for listening. We look forward to seeing you again right here next week on Men Loving Well.